Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are talking about a couple of pieces of news coming from the DevBlog. Now, Monday's video we were talking about the new 18-inch SAP-equipped Italian battleship, but that DevBlog actually came out between two other DevBlogs. But in order to keep the scheduled videos, well, kind of the format for the schedule, I guess I should say, intact. Yesterday's video was a top 5 video. Today we're now going over these DevBlogs that came out on a Sunday of all days. This is really weird that these came out on a Sunday. Normally these come out on Wednesday. But anyway, so we have some information about bots. We're getting more bots in certain game modes, which we'll talk about that when we get there, and some improved bots as well. We're getting asymmetric battles coming back to the game, and we're also getting animals in game and some even better graphics. The art department continues to hard carry this game. So let's go ahead and dive on into it. We're going to go in the order of release, starting out with the first DevBlog. These again will be linked in the description down below. So if you wish to check it out or read along as I read aloud, you can follow the link down below to these DevBlogs. So let's go ahead and get on into it. Starting with the first one, Asymmetric Battle, a new ranked battle season, technical improvements, and other news, closed test 12.5. So here we're just going to be focusing on the asymmetric battles, the AI changes, and the news about the bots, and then some bit of the technical improvements in this one. So let's go ahead and get on into it. They say let's check out some of the main new features of the coming update. Asymmetric battles. The asymmetric battle will... Ooh, man. The asymmetric battle type, man, that... oh boy, that's a bit of a tongue twister. Will return in update 12.5. This time, a team of 6 players using tier 9 to 10 ships will fight against 12 tier 7 and 8 bots. Battles will take place in the standard battle and domination modes. So, this go round, you will, it sounds like, be on a full team of tier 9 to 10 ships, and then you're going to be fighting against tier 7 and 8 bots. So like there won't be any players on the tier 8 side. That's what it sounds like, at least from this original little blurb right here. So let's go ahead and get on into it as well. In this new iteration, you won't need to earn battle tokens to participate. Asymmetric battles will be immediately available to those who own tier 9 and 10 ships. It will not be possible to participate as part of a division. Bots in asymmetric battles will have improved AI. They will start playing more positionally, rush into close combat less often, and distribute themselves better around key areas. The same changes will affect the AI of bots in the training room. They note here too, bot improvements. In addition to the above changes, additional improvements will be made to the AI bots in co-op and training rooms. Improved collision avoidance systems against both the islands and other bots. Similar to the training room bots, these in co-op will reverse if they collide with an island. Bots will try to ram enemy ships less often. Okay, so this does explain why I've been getting some comments on videos recently talking about, oh, you know, that they're adding more bots to the game. This is definitely confirmation that the game's dying because they're adding bots to random battles, yada yada yada. Obviously, it doesn't come out right and say that, yes, some more bots are being added to random battles, but this does, of course, seem like they are testing these new bots. Now, asymmetric battles was always a pretty tricky mode to get to work. Like, I like the idea of it. You know, the idea that there's a smaller team of higher tier ships going up against ships that they normally wouldn't see, but the lower tier ships have a larger number of ships available to them. But it wasn't very fun for most players to be the lower tier ships. Now, yes, there are players that like being, you know, at a disadvantageous position and kind of just, you know, winning through sheer numbers, and that can be fun, but, you know, if you're playing it in a game mode that's, you know, not with a bunch of friends and stuff, it doesn't seem to be as fun. You don't get to have a lot of those chuckles. Like, it's fun to go into like a training room with like your friends and you guys get in a bunch of like tier 2 and tier 3 ships and have one guy in like a Kurfürst or a Yamato or a Preußen or something like that, and you all try to, you know, take him out. But playing against that in a full-on mode in game, that's yeah, that's not that fun. So typically what would happen is that you would have players just waiting to get into the higher tier side, and the lower tier side, yeah, you'd have an issue finding players, and I think they did introduce bots into that mode in one of the iterations of it. It's been so long since Asymmetric's been a thing in game, but now it's fully, you're playing against bots, it seems, playing higher tier ships against lower tier bots. It does seem like they are potentially testing this new AI system. Does that necessarily mean that there's going to be more bots in random battles? Well, where are bots in random battles right now? The only place you can find them is at tier 5 and below. Why? Well, I don't know if you play a lot of lower tier ships, but they ain't really that fun. Now, there are a couple of lower tier ships that I do like. You know, like we're talking about tier 5 down. There's tons of ships that I like at tier 6 and tier 7, and that's like more like mid tier, you know. But even me referring to this as lower tier, and I promise you a large part of the player base will also kind of consider like tier 6, 7-ish, quote unquote lower tier, is because a lot of players play at higher tier. The average tier played in this game is tier 7.5-ish, which means that there's a lot of people playing at like 8, 9, and 10, and not that many people playing at 5 and below. So, because of that, they had to introduce bots into lower tier games and random battles outside of the, I think for the first 40 battles or so that you play this game, you're stuck in like, you know, co-op matchmaking essentially in random battles. But outside of that, yes, there are bots at tier 5 and below because, you know, players grind out of there. It's not a fun place to really be at. And again, like you have some fun ships like the Ahotnik, you know, the War Canoe, that's a fun one. There's a couple of good meme boats down there like the Mikasa, you know, that's a fun meme. Throw a 2-1-point commander on there, slap a secondary build on it. It's a meme. There's not really a lot of very good tier 5 ships at all. So most players, when they get out of that slog, they don't really go back to it. And that was for quite some time, and even, you know, 3-4 years ago, if you tried to play a low tier battle, you were in queue for a minute or two. Now compare that to higher tier gameplay, which still, even today, you hit battle and you're pretty much in right away, unless you're in like maybe a CV or a submarine, because that has, you know, special matchmaking and all that jazz. So it makes sense for them to finally add in bots in lower tier games. Now, are we at the point to where bots are going to be needed at mid tier on up? From my experience, no, not really. I mean, again, I can pop into a tier 6 ship. I can even pop into a tier 5 ship right now, and I'll be in a match pretty much instantly. It's when you get to like tier 4 and tier 3 that sometimes you'll be sitting there for some time. Now, and I do also play on the North American server, which on a good day might have 14,000 players on all at the same time. So it's not even the most populous server. And again, this is what people like to say, hey, the game's dying, the game's dying, the game's dying, the game's dying. They point to this and they say, well, look at this. They're getting ready to add more bots into random battles. Maybe, but by itself, maybe they're just testing out the new bot AI and they want to see how it does by itself. Because, believe it or not, there is a lot of players that do just play co-op. There are those legendary co-op mains with 30,000 battles in co-op. They do exist. They are among us. Some of them watch this channel. I know. I've spoken with a few of them. So, yeah. Now, also, too, right now, if you do go look at the player numbers, they will be declining right now. Why? It's part of the natural fluctuation of player numbers right now. Summer is starting. School is ending. People have more free time. They're going out and about on vacations with their family and friends. So they aren't stuck inside playing video games right now. So yes, if you look at the numbers right now, I promise you they're declining. But you got to see how much come back in the winter and see if that is, you know, par for the course. That's why I say when people say, oh, the game's dying, the game's dying, the game's dying, we have to really wait until the end of the year to really make that determination, see how this year has gone. This is like the first full-on normal year for the past like 3 years. You know, there's no COVID restrictions anymore. They're finally done away with. They're pretty much all done away with at the beginning of the year, at least here in the United States. The last bit of the COVID ordinances and stuff federally just dropped a few weeks ago. I think it was actually last week. So yeah, this is going to be the first full-on normal year in the past like 3 years now for the U.S. at least. So we'll see how it does at the end of this year, but I don't think this is like a point you can use to say, oh, look, the game's dying. You know, as so often, so many other little changes here and there like to be thrust into that category by those players that like to shout that the game's dying, and then they've been shouting that for the past 5 or so years now. All right, so other things about this in this devblog at least. So a pretty neat thing that's happening is that they're making the transition from the end of battle to the post-battle stat screen smoother. You're gonna get what I'm pretty sure is like a rip straight from World of Tanks with like a Warships paint coat slapped on it. So we're going to get this text message that's going to appear on screen now, and then the battle is going to last for a couple more seconds before transitioning to the end screen, and you're going to get a few more seconds to carry out your last act. Now this is something that's been a thing in War Thunder for some time. Once you hear that that ding at the end, or I think it's like a little drum roll or something real quick, the game's over, but you can still like pilot your vehicle and stuff for a couple more seconds. You can shoot the guns and kill one more guy, but it won't affect the end your end results. You're still gonna get whatever you got when that stat screen at the bottom pops up. So same thing's going to be happening here. So if you're in like a last second knife fight with somebody or something, you can get a one last salvo in, get those torpedoes off, allow them to connect, but it won't affect the end results. So yeah, it'll be a bit smoother, sure, but I think it's going to add to some frustration, because it's like if it's a 1v1 for sure, and that victory or that defeat pops up, and then you blap the other guy out of existence and you live, that's going to be like, oh, come on, But I think as if the player base is aware of what's going on, it'll be fine. And again, good quality of life change there. Speaking of quality of life, we're moving on to our second devblog now, and that is the visual improvements. So the art department, we know what they've been doing, locked in their dungeon for the past couple of months. More HD textures. Polar, New Dawn, and Islands are getting HD quality, so I'm assuming this means 4K as well, 4K textures as well as the new vegetation and the lighting system and such. And the water is still getting improved. So they in the last time they did this, we now have the water that when it's splashing inside the ship, it stays there and it's reflective, and it's like, what? So now they're adding in more realistic waves interacting with your ship hull. They say the splashy waves coming in contact with the ships will become more realistic. Animation representing the following water drops from the ships will be added. When a wave hits a ship, foam will run along its deck. That is so cool. Like, I'm a little graphics hoe, okay, so like this stuff is it's like crack for me. I love this. I love this so much. And on top of that too, we're getting animals now. Now, what's weird is the way that they note this here. A lot more birds and fish will appear on maps that have received the HD rework treatment. Was there fish in this game originally? I don't remember. They say the types of fish will also vary. For example, you'll be able to see sharks underwater. And one of the screenshots that I'll be rolling up right here too, we have dolphins now as well on the surface. In addition, sometimes players' ships will be accompanied by a pack of dolphins. This change will make the maps feel more alive and increase the realism of battles. I don't think dolphins like the sound of 16-inch guns. Okay, and I guess you can, kill whales with your sonar pings, like what happens in real life. Is that a whale shark? I think that is a whale shark. And that one with the submarine on it. It is a whale shark. Yay, look at that. That's cool. We're also getting new hit effects. So they say the effect of shell, bomb, and rocket hits will be significantly updated. The effects of shells will vary depending upon the caliber and type of shell, as well as the speed of the target ship. Rocket and bomb hit effects will vary depending on the type of this ornament as well. So here's an HE shell hit, HE rockets, AP shell, AP rockets. And they say depending on the height of the hit on the ships or island, the blast effects may be displayed on the water. That is so cool. Again, this makes me feel a little bit better about all the money I spend on this game when we see that the art department is working, and these guys should definitely be getting paid all of the money wargaming. Oh, they say too that shell tracer will be updated as well. Now they will be more visible at long distances. So again, art department, super hard carrying, definitely with this upcoming update. This is update 12.5, 5, I believe, right? Oh, they don't say, they don't give this one an update number. They just say this is in closed testing. But I'm sure they're going to push this one out as soon as possible because this looks great. Yep, I can't wait for this. I love, again, like I said, I'm a little graphics, so always up for some better graphics. Alright guys, so let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, especially about the bots and such. Again, just share your thoughts with me down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday, a wonderful rest of your week. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 50,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.